All right, everyone. Welcome to Get Ready. I'm your host, Damian Kinsey, and also the co-creator of the Virtual Wellness Summit. And I'm excited this evening about the conversation that we actually have on tap to talk about. The conversation is, are you okay? And it's Sunday, and I'm starting with myself, checking in with me. I am okay. And my great co-host partner in this whole virtual wellness experience, needs no introduction, but she is an amazing person, amazing human being with so much knowledge and so many versatile things going on. But introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tania, Farran. Happy to be here today. And it's been a great journey partnering with Damian to create the Virtual Wellness Summit. I own Creative Living Ideas. I am an educator. I have been in education for over 27 years. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm an author of 8 different books, and I hold professional development as well as the Virtual Wellness Summit. So really excited to be here today and talk about this topic. Are you okay? And I am okay today. Today, I am okay. You're muted. Damian, we can't hear you.
I'm having tons of conversation, and I'm excited about the conversation so much that I didn't click the unmute button. I appreciate you saying that. I met Dean in the audio room, and I'm excited as well for this conversation. How about you? How are you feeling about this conversation?
I am very excited about this conversation. I think it's an important conversation for us to have so that our audience can have this conversation also with other people. So I'm really hoping for a ripple effect with this conversation. I want this to continue to ripple out. Are you okay? And what does that mean to be okay? So while you are getting ready behind the scenes here, I'm going to tell people a little bit about the Virtual Wellness Summit that's coming up. So we have the Virtual Wellness Summit March 22nd and 23rd. Tickets are available from the website Creative Living Ideas. We have over 20 presenters, we have 25 presentations over these next 2 days, and an opportunity for networking and an opportunity to meet all of the presenters. So we are very excited about this Virtual Wellness Summit, and we are getting ready for it. So this is the getting ready. The topics that Damian and I talk about are just getting us started and getting us prepped and excited for the Virtual Wellness Summit that is coming. And so they're not even the topics of the presentation. So we have so much more to give. This is just our bonus to give to you. Damian, what do you want to say about the Virtual Wellness Summit and getting ready for it?
I think it's amazing. This whole idea of getting ready and the lead up is the lead up to get ready for a Virtual Wellness Summit. And the reason why this is called Getting Ready, because we know if you're not in the United States, that this might be your Monday. So we want you to use this as an opportunity to catapult your week and get ready. In addition to that, we know that people in the U.S. are getting prepared tonight, which is Sunday, for the next day for work. So we want you to get ready for work using this. And also, if you are watching this in team replay, this is the opportunity to get ready in the morning and actually get ready. And also the bigger pictures to get ready for the Virtual Wellness Summit. 20 amazing presenters, so many different avenues and fields and conversations, from yoga, wellness, fitness, leadership, how to deal with difficult people inside work and in your personal life, and also having it all. The whole theme of this whole Virtual Wellness Summit is to have it all. We're talking about AI. We're talking about so many different topics, and we want this to be your one-stop shop of virtual wellness, because we know as people who work in human services, education, private, Dr. Farran's entrepreneur as well. This is an entrepreneurial situation for me as well. And we know that you have to be well and you need opportunities and avenues to be well. So come join us at the Virtual Wellness Summit. And if you see on the ticker on the bottom, go to creativelivingideals.com. Get yourself a ticket. You can buy a 1-day pass or a 2-day pass. whichever works for you. Get your tickets, ready. And with that said, we're going to have this conversation and talk about wellness on a level of are you okay? But before we get into that, Dr. Farran, can I do something new for this conversation? All
Sure,
right.
of course.
So bear with me. This is new, and Dr. Farran herself doesn't even know. So trust me on this one, and I want you to also trust me. And we're going through this. So we're going to come up with a quick new segment, and it's called... Sorry. Oh. All right. So it's called Pouring On. So we know in life that a lot of times when people see rain, they think of it as a negative thing, and it affects their mood, and they're not okay. But I see rain as an opportunity for water to be nourished, that we can actually get water to drink. It grows trees and plants. And I want to know, what's that thing that poured on you this week that made you feel excited? So I'll go first since you weren't prepared for this. So I sat in a few audio rooms this week, and they talked about mental health and mental wellness. And it was from the perspective of making sure that you were good, that you were okay, and that you were put in situations where you were pouring back into your cup. So it kind of got the idea of pouring on because of that, because you're pouring back into your cup. And also today, when I sat into Jackie's audio room, which just finished in Oswald, and they talked about people returning and giving the opportunity, and yourself, you also went to the stage and had a conversation from an educational perspective. And that level of pouring into somebody when they're not okay can give them that opportunity to change their lives. So what I got out of pouring on was that there was rooms going on about mental health and mental wellness, and making sure that we're pouring into our own cup, and also that you're pouring back into your community and the people that are re-entering into the returning citizens, returning from the juvenile or the criminal justice environment, and how you spoke about education and also making sure that there's avenues to pour on and pour into people. So that's my thing.
I love that. I think pouring into people is really, really important. And it's kind of a term that I've been introduced to probably the last 2 years. Heidi Wild talks about pouring into people, and she'll say to you often, just let me pour into you and accept it, or I'm going to accept you pouring into me. And I think that's really important to think about. And so really interesting. My husband and I have been out of town. We've been in Florida for a month. And I poured into my kids today. So my kids were missing me. Annika showed up at my house unannounced, surprisingly, with her pooch. And we were excited to see her. And I just gave her a giant hug and all of my attention and pushed things aside because I wanted to pour into her because I knew she missed us. And so that was something. And then pouring into me, I can just tell you, I really felt the love from our audience last Sunday. I mean, it was incredible. Like, just the kind words like that, like Sharito, hello, my awesome friends. How sweet. Like, nice to see everyone. Like that warms my heart. Like it's incredible. It's the sweetest sentiment. I love this. So thank you so much for doing that and pouring into us. I greatly appreciate it. In fact, I know there's a lot of you that are listening, and I don't get to see you. So will you just say hello in the chat so that I can see who's here? I see that Lisa's here, and Richard, Nicole, Carrie, Charito, Jackie. Thanks for popping over after you had such an amazing room tonight. Monica, thank you so much for being here tonight. Also, really excited to see you. And Dean, thank you very much for being here tonight. Also, we appreciate it. So you can just drop in the chat and say hello. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and thank you also for trusting me with that that new I guess segment of pouring in, pouring on. And it makes me think about something like trying new things and making sure that you are actually okay and well. A lot of times we don't become okay because we are conditioned to doing the same routine over and over again. It becomes autopilot. And a lot of stuff, when it becomes autopilot, we even forget that things are going on with us and we don't check in with ourselves. So those are key and important. And I just want to highlight the people who are listening to you, Dr. Farran. They're pouring in, they're pouring on, and they're letting us know that they're there. And I'm hoping that everyone is okay. which leads me into my first thing. And I want to let you know this, as far as being okay and trying new things, I actually tried honey pasta tonight, and I'll send you the picture of it. So for those
Awesome.
of people who don't know, Dr. Farran created this thing. Annika, which is her daughter, is probably in the chat somewhere. She created this thing called honey pasta, and she can probably talk about it a little bit more. And it actually was okay because I wanted to try something new outside of my box. I don't try TikTok things. I'm not even on TikTok. I just so happen to go to your page just for reference point for someone else, and I saw this and I wanted to do it, and I felt really good about the process of doing it and getting ready to do it. And that's also building into yourself and seeing you're okay. You want to tell them about what that is and how it comes about?
How pouring into myself? What you want me to tell them? What about pouring into myself?
I'm explaining it to people that
So
don't even know what it is.
So those of you who are getting to know me better, my company Creative Living Ideas initially started with a parenting book and a cookbook because, you know, our lives, we love food, we love entertaining, we love, you know, we have our children, we have our families, you know, we have to take care of ourselves. So that's what Creative Living Ideas is all about. You know, I'm a professional, I'm a mom, I'm an educator. And I love to cook. And so my first book was a cookbook. Well, I got onto TikTok and I started creating videos, and my most popular videos are my cooking videos on TikTok. That's really my audience. And so if you want to see some cooking videos, hop on my TikTok. It's Dr. Tania Farran. But my ani pasta went viral because I made a snafu with a word. And so people just kept commenting and my video went viral. And now, you know, there's, I don't know, 17,000 likes or something with it. But ani pasta is really great. And I used to make it for my daughter. And she just named it after her because it was her favorite pasta. It was super easy to make. And it was fun. And she still makes it. We still call it ani pasta at home. And it's in my cookbook. And it's on TikTok. And it's a fun platform, you know, to have a good time with. I enjoy that platform. I'm glad you made it. You'll have to send me a picture. Damian and I like to talk about food. So that's one thing you'll learn. Usually we have a meeting a couple times a week, and then we usually ends up with some type of a food conversation. We can't hear you again. He's so excited.
This is my thing. Excited. It's my thing. Like they want me to be quiet, but I'm not going to be quiet. I'm ready to go. But it kind of segues into something else when you talk about family and connection. And I know Creative Living Ideals kind of came out of not being okay. And I know you're a real big on family, your family connections, thriving into your business, your relationships with your daughters, your husband. Talk about the scale. What's your thoughts on?
Yeah. So I have, this is a personal item. I'm happy to share it though. I've already have permission from my husband to share it. But my husband and I have been married for 33 years this summer. And so we still, you know, one, we genuinely like each other. And two, you know, we still check in with each other often. And we were just having dinner together one night at home. And I just said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your level of happiness? Because, you know, I don't think you should assume because you're with somebody that they're happy. And so, you know, I think you should check in. And sometimes that's a harsh reality. And sometimes, you know, it's, you've got to get to the current reality to improve in life. And so he said, I'm probably about an 8. And I was like, that's pretty good. Tell me about what does an 8 look like? Like what makes you an 8? And then he said, well, I'm kind of concerned about this doc that we have coming. I'm kind of concerned about our daughter. I'm kind of concerned about this. And then he went, oh, I might be a 4 now that I'm really thinking about it, you know, and okay, what would get you to an 8? And so, you know, really taking that scale measurement and seeing where you're at. And so he had asked me, he said, well, where are you? And I said, I'm probably an 8 as well. I feel like things are going really well right now. You know, our relationship is going well. Our kids are doing well, you know, business as well. All of those things. And he says, well, what would make you a 10? And I said, I don't know that I'll ever be at a 10 per se, because I'm always going to continue to want to grow and learn. But taking that moment and really looking at that scale and where you are on it is super important to do. And I think, you can have the scale of 1 to 10 with your relationships. You can have your scale of 1 to 10 with your workplace. You can have your scale of 1 to 10 with your health. So many different ways that you can measure or gauge. And it's just for you to take a look and to really be honest. It's hard, right? Sometimes you're a 4. And probably when I started Creative Living Ideas, I was probably a 4. I might have even been a 2. And really had some levels of frustrations that I was working through, and had to find an outlet to help me grow. And so my writing became a really great outlet, and I created a company, and it has been so fun. So Damian, what about your scale?
Yeah, right now my scale is about a 9. I feel like it's a 9 also because of the energy of the people in the audience and the crowd. I had a couple of hiccups during here with the mute button and the summer, but the energy is so positive that I'm not letting it get me down. I'm making sure I'm forward. I'm happy to be here. I'm blessed. So I'm about a 9. And what I think about is a lot of inventory. I do it at the end of the year, the middle of the year, like basically every quarter, and kind of see where I'm at as a person. And am I growing, developing, and getting better? Am I actually adding value to the spaces that I'm in? Like we always talk about, we want to make sure that we're this is fun for us and we're doing it to be fun. And when I'm not okay, I understand a lot of times it's about, I have this thing called, it's not that serious. It's a kind of self-talk to myself, because things are not that serious. There's so many things that are going on in the world that I can be in a different space, and I kind of channel that. The minute I don't adapt that mind state or that mantra is normally those times where it actually does go to the point where I don't feel well or okay. And I just came from vacation, and it was a great opportunity to be on vacation, and I feel so great about that. And it's also about being okay. So having that time to say it's time to reset, take time off, and take a vacation is also important too. So
I
that's how I kind of rate it.
Yeah, I do. And I think, I liked when we talked earlier on Wednesday. So those of you who are with us today, on Wednesday mornings, we start talking about this topic, and then we dig deeper into it on Sunday. But let the audience people know, you were talking a little bit about how some people on the outside may not know that you're okay, right? Because you just, you kind of hold some things together, right? Or your personality. And so, you were talking about how it's hard for other people to gauge you, to see where your level of okayness is.
Yeah, like smiling. A lot of people think that, oh, this like this is a presentation of someone being happy. I'm not often like a smiling person. I stay in deep thought. I think about so many things that are going on. I've been exposed to so many things in my life, and it's not that I'm mad. I'm happy a lot. I'm happy all the time. So that sometimes is an indicator to people that they think that I'm not okay, but I am. And there are people who, what those social cues that might look to you as the perception of being okay isn't the same with everyone else. So it's kind of always important to have those conversations with people and say, are you actually okay? And actually ask them. It makes me think about a situation that kind of popped in my head. I work with someone who, they would just put this voice on and energy. And the easiest thing to make everybody understand is Robin Williams. Great comedian. If you don't know who Robin Williams is, Google him. He's one of the greatest comedians that ever, stand-up comedian, personal comedians that ever lived. And he had a lot of laughter, but there was a lot of pain. And he had so many struggles, and people thought because he laughed so much that everything was well. But it made me think about a story with a person I work with. And they would put this voice on and this energy, and this gentleman I worked on. And I can tell that that was not his voice, and he was putting it on. And then you could see he was so exhausted. So I had a conversation with him. I said, like, are you okay? Like, he's like, what do you mean? I'm good. He's like, I'm good. I'm good. And I'm like, normally when somebody tells you they're good like 3 times in a row, there's a high chance they might not be good. So in my experience, I don't know what anybody else experiences in my experience. So I said, it has to take a lot of energy to put that voice on and put that perception of that you're good and that high pitch and that high energy. And he told me, he said, I'm exhausted. He said, how did you know? I said, I can tell because I've been around you long enough to know when you're a free conversation, when we're talking about sports, what your regular voice and cadence is. And you don't have to put all that energy in because you're burning so much energy doing that. And he felt that he had to do that to advance. And I was trying to tell him that you didn't have to do it, and I would coach and support him. And he worked on it, but it was exhausting for him. And I had another person who she would put this high energy on, and she would I worked with her a long time ago, and she would go out and get money, and she would have this, and then she would just be exhausted. She would have 2-3 days off after anytime there was an event, and I just check in. I was like, "You okay?" She was like, "I was like, you look exhausted." I was like, "It has to be a lot to have conversations with people and put that high energy on." And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "How did you know?" Because I'm paying attention when everybody is not paying attention, and I'm checking in with you, and I'm seeing the energy level go down, and I'm seeing you go from off in the corner trying to catch your wind to jumping back into it. And it's important to check in with people and really ask them if they're okay. And these are two individuals who were given the high energy, but they were draining a lot from themselves and they weren't okay.
Yeah. And, after our last meeting together, I was thinking about something that I used to do with my staff when I was in a brick and mortar. And we used to have, one of my leadership teams, we would get together and we would have a community meeting prior to our meeting. And every person to the right of them, I would say to you, maybe, "Hi, Damian." I would always use your first name. "Hi, Damian. How are you today? How are you feeling today?" And then you would have to tell me a feeling word. "I'm excited, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm blue, I'm gloomy." Um, and then I would ask you, "Do you need to check in later?" Which meant I was going to I'm acknowledging, right, you as a person, right? Because how many times do we just come in and sit in a meeting and then we get to business, right? "How are you? How are you feeling today?" And then, "Do you need to check in later?" Which means I heard you, I'm listening, I know you're excited about something, or I know you're sad about something. We're going to get this meeting wrapped up, and then I'm going to come back in and check on you later. And I think that is really an important, piece with our staff. So those of you who are leading other people, checking in, like Jackie was saying, social cues are something that's so obvious when you look for them. And so really going in and looking at your staff and observing people's behavior, and acknowledging where they're at with it. And so I think that's really important. And Annika put in, they do talk about being a thermostat and a thermometer. So Annika is a leader at a bank. She's a manager at a bank. And my other daughter, Lexi, sells insurance, and she is a head coach. And so they talk about that, are they the thermostat? Are they the thermometer? So as the leader, you're the thermostat, right? You're keeping the temperature where it needs to be and keeping your energy where it is there. So it's tough. You have to continue to lift your team up. And even when you're going in and saying, "I've had a rough day today, this has been difficult, but I'm going to move forward." It's okay to acknowledge, even as a leader, right? "Today's been hard. It's been a stressful day," especially if you have young children. "I didn't sleep last night," things like that. But making sure that you are checking in with people to make sure that they are okay. Super important.
Yeah. And it's also important to replenish your own gas tank and make sure you have something in your reserve and you're not always jumping into your reserve tank. And I'm glad that you kind of approached that situation, that conversation, that comment that Annika had, because I wanted to kind of bring it up and you kind of went into it. That energy is so important. Being able to control your energy is so important. And also being able to figure out that understanding and that balance between your work, your professional, your relationship, yourself, and making sure that all of those things are okay and that you're okay first. And it starts with you being okay first. And I know you talk about the oxygen mask and the plane, and those things are very important, and making sure those are key, that we're putting those situations on and we're pouring into ourselves and making sure we're okay and we're not empty.
I think it's also important, since we talked, this is the beginning of the week, Monday or a Sunday night for most people that are listening. And what's really important is right? For us to check our own energy levels, like you were saying. So look at your week ahead before you respond and commit to things. I am always one to look at my week ahead to see what I have coming, what appointments do I have, what can I personally handle in a day? Like I like to sometimes think I can handle appointments from 7 a.m. until 9 o'clock at night, but I cannot do that. That is really draining for me. And then I'm not ready for the next day. So I have so much energy, right, for the week. So how do I use that, and where do I refill it throughout the week? We can't only refill on the weekends. So we have to find time throughout the week that we can refill it so that we can be okay a lot of days. Now, are there important things that happen, right? Emergencies happen, life happens quick sometimes. I get that. But for the most part, we should really look at that energy level and see where we are and manage our time and manage the things that are draining and hard for us and separate them out so they're not all in one day or every day, and finding that time for ourselves. And so I know that Damian, you and I have even had these conversations with our meetings, so the Virtual Wellness Summit is coming up. Damian and I have worked since October on this summit. It's going to be spectacular. But we've both had to also, one, we check in with each other every time we get started. How's your day? How are you? How are things going? Do a little bit of digging and seeing how each other is. And then, we also have had to say, like when he was on vacation, I'm not going to be able to be here, or I'm not be able to meet. I'm giving my time and attention to the people I'm on vacation with. Same thing with me. So really looking at that energy level so that when we're together and we are meeting, we're very focused and we can give each other that time that we need. It's not hurried. It's not rushed. We're organized. And it's really important to do that and check on each other to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. And before we talk about, is this working for you? Because that's really important. Knowing if it's working for you or not and being okay or not. I want to kind of go into the Virtual Wellness Summit clip. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. That'd be great.
Yeah. So we're doing these live events and we're talking about topics. None of these topics will be a part of the Virtual Wellness Summit. So the great part about it is there's 20 presenters, 26 different topics, but it's really more than that when you count these topics. It's about probably like 36, 37 different topics going on, maybe 40 for this Virtual Wellness Summit. And we want to kind of give you a glimpse of what the presenters are and some of the topics that'll be covered for the summit. And then we'll get back into the topics. So real quick. back. And as you see, there's so many people for the Virtual Wellness Summit. And Annika put the long, beautiful click link inside the chat. And it's also on the flyer with the QR code. What are your thoughts, Dr. Farran?
So every time I see that, I just sit here and I grin from ear to ear. I'm so proud of these presenters. Like, they're just spectacular people. If you don't know them, connect with them, but come to the summit and listen to them, because they have incredible messages to give you. They have incredible, businesses to share with you. And so we really are highlighting them. They are definitely the stars of the show. And so I want to make sure that you see that. So make sure you connect with them, connect with us, so that you're able to hear more about the summit. I also want you to subscribe to the YouTube channel also. So if you want to subscribe, then if you miss one of these Sundays, I post the videos on there. It is Creative Living Ideas. So I will be able to share that out also with you all. You can also sign up for the Creative Living Ideas newsletter. With that newsletter, the links to the videos on YouTube are on there also. And then you hear more about what we're doing. Like, the Virtual Wellness Summit is just one piece of what we are putting together for you all. So there's more to come in the rest of 2024. So stay with us, stay tuned with us, because I think you're going to love what's coming, which is really incredible. And so I think our presenters are amazing, and I'm so glad that we found them and have been able to have them be shared with the world. And I'm really excited about that. Tickets are $159 for 2 days of a Virtual Wellness Summit, $89 per day. One of the things that we tell people often is that if you own a company or you work someplace, this is professional development for you. So your employer can pay for it. You can pay for it for your employees to come. It is a great opportunity. Again, there are so many great topics to help grow and to help you become well in a variety of areas. Again, we have, meal prep, we have fitness, we have meditation, we have yoga sessions. We have, a topic on grief. I mean, that is part of being well. We've all experienced grief in our life, and we have a really amazing therapist that is going to be there. You guys are going to love her. Jackie's going to talk about burnout. We've got Leslie in the audience. She is here. She's going to be talking about difficult people in your life and how to handle them. Just so many amazing group of people that are going to be with us. I don't see anyone else in the audience. I'm looking really quick to see if I'm missing anyone, but just we're talking about parenting, all of those things that help us become well in our life, which is really important to us.
Yeah, definitely. It's an experience in itself. The Virtual Wellness Summit come out in March 22nd and 23rd. And another thing that we talked about, we didn't talk about that's part of the summit, is that you actually get to meet the presenters in a breakout room. Mm-hmm. So it's a meet the presenters room. It's a 2-day summit. You get to meet the presenters. And even on top of that, we took the extra steps and created a whole virtual wellness experience, which is fully based on just networking. So you have two different things. You have the experience of the networking, and then you have the meet the presenters room, which is going on, and that's on top of the 20 different 25 or 6 workshops.
Yeah, so a lot of them. It's going to be really great. Incredible. So I want us to go. So we talked about like checking in on other people, but how do you know, what do you do when you are not okay? We talked about how do you identify, scale of 1 to 10, like how do you identify personally when you're not okay? And I'm going to give you some time to think about that. How do you know when you're not okay? And I'll tell you when I know that I'm not okay. I talked about this in the last summit that I held in October. I can tell that I am not okay when my countertop is overloaded with mail and things and keys and whatever you drop in. We call it the drop and go, right? We've been so busy. We drop, we go, we drop, we go, we drop, we go. And the countertop is a mess. I feel like I just cannot get my thoughts out right. I feel like I always say my term is my hair is on fire, like even though it's really not, but I just feel like I'm like, and I can't quite get anything done. So That for me, when I start feeling that way and I feel kind of out of sorts, I'm able to now say, I'm not okay right now. And then I have to take a minute and sit and be still, maybe to figure out what isn't okay, like what part of my life am I needing more time, am I needing exercise? And so, like I said yesterday, we traveled from Florida. It was a 12-hour drive. It was a long drive. We normally break it up. We didn't break it up, and I wasn't feeling myself when I woke up this morning. I was kind of on edge, and I didn't know why. I mean, everything was fine. I just didn't know why I felt that way. And I'm telling you, I needed to go and do yoga. I went into my yoga space and I lit my diffuser and, put my oils in there that I liked. And I did some deep breathing and I was able to move my body. And then I just kind of calmed back into this, just this better space that I was in. And so how do you know when you're not okay, Damian? Like, what are your signs? Like, what do you see or feel or hear?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how I process things. It's a way that it processes for me when it's not okay. When it's okay, I can see it clearly. When it's not okay, I'm trying to figure it out, and it seems like the hardest math puzzle in the world because it rationally doesn't make sense to me, and I have to tell myself that it's not supposed to make sense to you, and it's okay for it not to make sense to you. And that's kind of some of the things that kind of let me know if it's not okay for me or not. Um, Also, if I'm really exhausted and tired and really tired to the point when I really need sleep, and some people, if you've been on here, know that um, there's times where I take 10 hours sleep and I need to because um, for a big part of my life and my career, I've done 3, 4, 5 hours sleep and taking that 10 hours sleep. And it's that 10 hours sleep because I didn't prepare for it and it's just happening because I'm tired. Is another example versus me taking it because I'm saying, hey, I'm going to prepare myself to make sure that if I'm traveling or doing something or being up or getting really up early, that I'm going to prepare for it. That's when I know I'm not okay.
Thank you for sharing that. And so also, what if sometimes we're not okay in our workplace that we're at? What do we do? We've realized that we're not okay, and we've honed it in and funneled down to maybe it's my daily job that I'm not okay with. Maybe I'm unhappy in my workplace. Maybe I'm not being challenged enough. Maybe I'm wanting a higher pay, or I'm wanting more benefits, or I'm wanting more vacation time. you know um what would your advice be to someone who was not okay where they were working? I mean, this is LinkedIn, right? We're all professionals on here and people are looking to grow and connect with other people. So what would you say to somebody?
I would say kind of do those inventories of those things, like how you said the space is a direct indicator of you not being okay. Um, Figuring out what the inventory or what your okay looks like, looking at what your time looks like, whether it's vacation, sick, or even the holidays that are coming up. What does that look like, and what are your planning process? And actually, what are you going to do when those things are happening? What does your time off look like when you're not working, and how you're like doing something to rebuild and rejuvenate yourself? And then the last part about it is, if you're at work, make sure that you're having conversations with your manager, your supervisor, if you feel comfortable and it's appropriate for you. But in addition to that, make sure you have someone who has your best interests at heart at work, and you have like a support system of an individual at work that can check in with you and say, hey, I don't think you're okay. This has been going on. I can see that you came in late, you're tired, that you value and you respect. So having somebody that you can check in, most people call them accountability partners. Leslie talked about having a mentor, and I think those people are important. And also, like I said, choosing gratitude. How about you, Dr. Farran? Thank you
Yeah,
for
I
asking.
I, I love that. No, I think it's amazing. to have a person, your accountability person. I think that's incredible. And when I was a teacher, I certainly had that. My person next door, and we're still friends. She just, we would talk to each other, or support each other, or laugh together. She was my fun person that I had at work. I always had really great principals that I worked for, so that was awesome. But I think also, having the courage to talk to your manager and say, I have some ideas, I would like to try some things, how do you feel about that? Going out and stretching, or finding another place, to go to work. And that's okay to do that. Work on your resume. We talked about this in another episode, right? It's not always the ladder of success. Sometimes you're climbing a jungle gym and you're going from one position to the next to learn some new skills. So maybe your time is up. Maybe you've learned your skills at a place and it's time to move on. And it's okay to choose to move on to something else. I think doing it out of spite doesn't always work. I think you should be prepared. I don't recommend people just quitting their jobs if they have bills to pay and things like that. But going in and thinking about that information, and where can you go and what can you do, and start looking for something else that might make you happy. Someone put in, talk to a mentor. I've talked to a therapist at one point in time when I was in an unhappy place. And she said, my book writing was my joy at this time, but my job was paying the bills. So you got to sometimes hang on to that until you find your next joyful job, right? So you can separate those two out. And once I was able to kind of categorize that and say, okay, this one's paying the bills. I'm doing my job, but this is bringing me joy, and it's okay. And then I was able to kind of put the two in categories, always do my job well, with a positive attitude, but just something else. So I think it's important that if it is a job, you recognize it, put that resume together, start finding some mentors, job shadow some people. And sometimes even in your organizations, you can talk to people. If you work in a large organization, you can go, and there's lots of opportunities and jobs within that organization, and you may have a skill set that fits a different position better. And that's okay. Sometimes you're put in a position and it's not really your skill set. So, there's lots of ways. Don't just sit there and be unhappy. You're smiling at what I'm saying. I'm curious as to what your response is.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm thinking my brain is moving and I'm thinking about so many things. Um, and even at work, like making sure it's practical and relevant. That you're in a situation at work and you might not be okay at work. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay there. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave. It could be that you need to have a conversation with your employer and manager and find a way to re-engage yourself. It might be an opportunity where it's time for you to go to a different department. A lot of organizations, companies, and places, institutions, schools, they have employee resource groups. They have EAP. There are resources and things out there, employee resource groups, or those groups that you can connect with, be a part of the organization, help build your organization, whether it's leadership. Some of them have diversity, equity, and inclusion groups and part of your employee resource groups. They're networking opportunities as well to build yourself through the ladder. And then it's also EAP, there's a employee assistance program where you can get kind of supports. They have built-in paid therapy and sessions that you can go to. They're not your employee pays for it. And there's also so many other resources that go into employee assistance groups as well. So a lot of organizations and places do have them, and you might not know about them. Even checking in and looking about what you're planning for retirement looks like. That's another way to check about you being okay. You might have it in your notion that you're gonna plan for retirement at 70, but you might be able to look into it and be able to retire at 60, 59. It's all about looking at those opportunities and figuring out those things and being practical and looking at it. So that's kind of what popped in my head was staying versus leaving, leaving versus moving and pivoting, and versus planning for retirement, planning for transition, and also planning for getting supports from your employer or your external employer, and also finding external groups and communities that can actually support you as a person. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, I think sometimes people have like, um, a closed mindset of like, this is my only job, this is my only gift that I have, this is I'm like stuck in this dead end job. And so I think it's, it takes some time to open your mind, and there's, like I said, other things that can really bring you joy, that you can do, so this is a very simple thing. So maybe you are, you've worked for a grocery store for a long time as a checker, and you feel like, I'm just in a dead end job. There's really no place for me to go. I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to be a supervisor. What do I do? Well, maybe you have a crafting ability and you can start your own little business and do crafting at craft fairs. And, so maybe the grocery store, it gets your benefits, it pays your bills. You like the people that you're with, you just don't really feel fulfilled. So find something else that fills you up also to help you feel better, which is really important. So, not every person wants to lead. Not every person wants to publicly speak. Not every person wants to do what you and I are doing, Damian, but there are people who want more out of life. And so sitting there thinking about that, but yet they don't want professionally more. So thinking about where they want to go, where their gifts, their talents, or maybe they want to volunteer. That's incredibly fulfilling, for people. And they help you a lot of times when you're not feeling okay, when you're giving to other people and you're helping other communities, you really feel good. Like, it's so amazing. Yes.
Yeah, and I agree with Dr. Marcia. Like, it's sometimes it's about where you're currently at isn't where your journey ends. It's about having those opportunities, looking at yourself, and being able to make sure that you're checking in with yourself and saying, "Hey, is it okay for me to stay in this particular situation, whether it's
Right.
personal, professional, um, even this, like thinking about I'll give you transportation. If you have your own like route to go to and from work, right? And every time you take that route to and from work, you're late. Is it okay for you to pivot and change and not go to that same direct because there's construction going on? Even if you, let's say, for instance, because some people out there are like, well, I work remote. Cool. Are you getting up saying that, okay, I have to jump on the computer and log in at 9 o'clock, but I'm going to jump up at 8:20? Are you okay? And you're logging on the computer at 9 o'clock, and your computer is slow and it's rebooting and it's taking 5 minutes to. Is that okay? Is that working for you? Figuring out, is that really working for you? Maybe what you do is you get up, you iron your clothes at night, get prepared, or you log into your computer at 8:45 because you know it's not going to work. You log in the computer, walk away, and then let it go. So those things are important in thinking about that. Are you doing practical, realistic things?
Right, exactly. And going through. So thank you, Dr. Marcia. I appreciate all of your comments in here. They're very powerful and very good. So those of you go in and check it, check it out. Leslie, thank you so much. Be grateful for the job you have. Conserve your energy and don't get involved in politics. Begin to create your own side business where you'll use that creative energy. Oh my gosh. You must have been listening when I was talking to my daughters about just keep your head down and do your job. When they would come home with things, sometimes I would say, keep your head down, just do your job. As long as you're doing your job, stay out of the rest of it. It's going to be good, And so I agree, sometimes you just stay out of that, find something else that brings you joy. Sometimes the job is the job. But being able to look at that and figure that out, figure out what you want, like for my husband, it's sports, my husband's been in construction for a very long time. It's a very hard job. It's very physical, and so those types of things are taxing and hard on your body, but he has to play sports. He's active in golf and he coaches with my daughter. And, that brings him joy. That's the joy in his life, and so making sure that we're finding those pieces that make us okay. I know we're at 49 minutes here and I want to talk about something that's just a little bit heavier. We've been talking about light things and finding joy, but there are some times, right, when we have chemical imbalances in our brain, when we have, really hard things in life, hard tragedies, hard traumas that we're having to deal with. And so I encourage you that when you really have those moments, and we talk about this the last time we talked about this on Wednesday, a therapist that we went to see as a family with my kids, she always commented that, like our mental health is like a staircase, right? When you're at the top stair, you're feeling pretty good. But when you're in the basement of the staircase, it's really hard to climb back out of those stairs. It's really hard to get back up to where you're feeling good at the top stair. So when you start to step down on the next step from the top, you need to really be aware and think about, what do I need? Do I need to talk to a doctor about medication? Do I need to see my therapist? Do I just need to do some things to help me get myself off of this step and go back up to the top? Am I able to do that? And so, while, I'm not a mental health expert, I do work with a lot of people who have, required and need extra help from professionals. Please seek that out. We really, really want that for you. We care about our community. We care about everyone, and your mental health is really important. And so make sure that if you are going down that staircase, that you are seeking some professional help. Please, it's good for you to do that. You've heard me twice tonight talk about a therapist. Yes, I have gone to see a therapist and I love it. It's okay. Why would I not want to talk to somebody who has expertise in something that I'm going through? And so make sure that you do that. On a side note, I do have wellness journals that I create to help with mental health and mental wellness. I have one called Staying Well for teens. I have one called Kickstarting Wellness. I have 2 Kickstarting Wellness journals for adults. I have one called Working on Wellness, and now we're working on a neurodivergent book. Actually, Annika is creating that one. So this is kind of her baby that she's working on, and we have a team meeting this week. So lots of wellness journals for you to use. But we also want to give you the suicide prevention hotline number. It is 988. And so if you know of somebody who has talked about suicide, please, call the number, get help. Talk to someone. If you are thinking that, please use 988, because we really do care about you, especially if you are definitely not feeling okay. I know it's heavy, but it's important that we talk about that. All right. So yes. So Annika, thank you. We are so excited for our newest wellness book. It is coming out. We're hoping to have it out by March. I am not certain if we have a title of the book yet. Annika, do you remember what we had as the title of the book? And maybe you could tell them a little bit about it in the chat. You can purchase the books on Creative Living Ideas. You can purchase them on Amazon. So they are there. All right, Damian, I didn't know if you froze or not, but all right. Did you have anything that you wanted to add on that topic?
Yeah, I think getting help and support is really important. Don't deny help and support. And sometimes we think it's harder to get help and support than it really is. And I think it's all about reaching out to your network, the people that support you, who are around you, and making sure that you're getting help. I love that you gave the hotline number, that you can actually get it from a national level. And even when we were trying to do this virtual wellness summit, there's so many people who are doing so many things around mental health. I know Dwight is doing poetry and mental health. It's a big thing for him. I know Daniel does sports and mental health. It's a big thing for him. I know Jackie does burnout. She does reentry. She does. She's a licensed social worker. Dr. Q, she does family and also relational trauma. So we know we can't do this alone. We know we don't know everything, and it's always important to get help and support. Otherwise, this will be the Damian and Dr. Farran summit in 2 people. But you can't do it alone. You can't navigate life alone. You didn't come in this world. You came in this world physically alone, but you didn't come in here alone, because there was a support. There was even a team that on most occasions that helped bring you into it. and you can't navigate it alone. And it's so important to get help and support, resources, and just be open to what works for you to get that door open. When that door opens, don't just leave the door open. Walk through it and get that level of support and help.
Absolutely. Yes. And so we are about wellness, right? And so wellness, there's a spectrum of wellness, right? And a spectrum of needs. And so yes, mental health is incredibly important, which is why we're putting this on, It is about wellness. It's about all sorts of wellness, right? Our physical, our spiritual, our mental wellness, our career wellness, all of those types of things. We want our community that we are with to get as many resources as they possibly can have. And so, when we created this, Damian and I had so many people that we were connected with that we knew could really provide and point you guys in an incredible direction. So make sure that you're getting your tickets. We do have a limited number of tickets. It is a Zoom event. So this is the cool thing. Let me tell you about how that works. So when you click on the link that Annika shared in the chat, and Damian also has a QR code and all of that. So once you put it in there, you'll be able to go in and look at it. Just clicking on that doesn't say, oh, put your credit card in right now. Click on it and look at it. It is, first of all, it's beautiful. It is beautiful to look at. All these beautiful presenters' faces are amazing on here. Their topics, their bios are in there. Their summary of their presentation is in there. It is incredible to look at. So once you purchase your ticket, if you've not had a Zoom event, it's pretty awesome. Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be able to go in and bookmark your events that you want to go to. It will give you the schedule of what you're doing. Even our presenters, we're meeting with them tomorrow night to show them this part of it too. They have their own schedule where they'll be able to see it. And then they're so excited about going and seeing each other's presentations. It's just going to be, such a great time. So that's important. Go in, click on that link that Annika shared, look at it, read it, share it with your friends, grab that link, share it out. We would love for you to share it out. Repost this event that Damian has posted. I will be uploading YouTube videos. I think I posted the last one tomorrow. So it'll be posted on YouTube. So you'll be able to grab that, share that out. But yeah, start talking it up and getting your friends to come with you and have a good time checking out the presenters and looking at the information that's on there. It's going to be a great 2 days. We're excited about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity. The link is so big that it's covering up half of the screen, and I think it's great. Like, we want people to get this experience as much as possible. That's why we try to make it as affordable as possible. It's from your own home, just like how we're doing this. You don't have to be on full screen. Those people who like the Zoom not on screen button, they can actually do that. You can multitask and do other things and listen. You can turn on your screen to get in, and you also, even if you have 10 people in your home, all 10 of them get the experience from one laptop, one computer, one cell phone. Buddy up, work together, get it done. Come out to the summit. We want as much participation as possible. We want you to go into those breakout rooms, that networking room, that meet the presenter room, and have those conversations. Because when we did the professional wellness, the professional work-life balance summit, it was a great breakout room and conversation. We took the feedback from that room. We made it a 2-day experience. We added the networking room on top of it. We added more presenters, and we want this to be a great experience for you and everyone around. And we welcome feedback, questions, and concerns. Dr. Farran, what do you want to talk about in closing?
Well, I just want to say, I hope that you are well. If you are not well, please use some of the resources that we shared about today, and stay connected with other people. That's important to do. Also, I want to thank the people in our audience, Evelyn and Annika. Thank you for being here today. Jackie, thanks so much. So many people that were here. Dr. Marcia, just great value. Leslie. Appreciate you guys so much for being here tonight. It is a great, great summit. I want to tell you that on Wednesday mornings, Damian and I talk about the next topic. So on Wednesday, our next topic is going to be Let's Make Life Fun. So that should be a fun topic. And then next Sunday, we have our live again on Sunday nights. And then we do have a variety of different posts and topics and things like that. So stay connected with us. And then coming up the week of March 10th, we have the presenters on every night. And so you will get to see them. They are not talking about their topic. They'll be talking about some other things, but you'll get to meet the presenters in advance. So this is going to be like, we really want this event to be like this community engagement, networking. You should already know who they are. It's just going to be such fun. It'd be like hanging out with some friends. Thank you, Evelyn, for having a share party. We appreciate that. And that's what I want to say. Get your tickets.
Yeah, it is a party leading up to the summit. We do have this, which is getting ready for the Virtual Wellness Summit, and it's also getting ready for your day. Next week, we do have a guest because it is about having fun and having an individual up here. We're going to have people coming up for the summit, like Dr. Farran said. And on Wednesday mornings, like she said, that is a 30-minute audio room. It's kind of preview to this particular room, but what we talk about in the audio room isn't what we talk about in live. So it's two different experiences in the audio room and live, and we want to have fun this week. With that said, please reach out, go to the website, go to it as an educational, informational session, learn more about the summit, buy your tickets, pair up, make sure you're getting it early. Getting a ticket, make sure you try to get it as quick as possible. We did have the early bird special that went away. You want to make sure you get your ticket as early as possible because we do have limited space. And with that said, thank you. And the link for Wednesday will be coming up soon, and the link for next week. And we thank you all for getting ready with us and coming out and get your tickets to the Virtual Wellness Summit. And have a great day and night. And we're going to play the video one more time before we go. Bye.